All right, guys. Welcome back to the show. Today we are going to do headlines. That's right, guys. We're going to go through some headlines of some of the real estate news or different news. Some of it may not be real estate news. Depends on what we've got going. So I'm going to read out some headlines, and Misty and I are going to talk a little bit about it and see what Misty's thoughts are. Who knows? You guys might get lucky. We might get in a disagreement, argument, a fight, or we might even just say, yeah, that sounds about right. So let's start with first headline, guys. So there's a headline that came out that was MetroTex put this out. It says home prices decline for the first time in more than a decade. And the short excerpt says Dallas-Fort Worth home prices finally declined this year after more than a decade of steady year-over-year growth and unprecedented appreciation following the start of the pandemic. The last time Dallas-Fort Worth prices were down year-over-year was in 2012. What do you think, Misty? You think that's true?
In certain areas, yes, but I also think prices during and after COVID were pretty much artificially inflated just due to people overpaying.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't what it naturally would have been had, that situation not happened.
Mm-hmm. Something I think that we had recently talked to the Slaughters about this is that, and I agree with them, is hyper local.
Mm-hmm.
You always hear like there's that large, oh, it's this large market, or this market. But I mean, for example, I know you're working a lease right now where you did in Keller, and it just went. I mean, it went bananas.
Yep.
Like it just but it
a
went
lot of different applications.
tons. I mean,
Yep.
and the pricing was. And then you did a lease. You have a property that you got leased out. And again, home prices and rent prices, they all go together. They're not
Connected.
They're connected. So even though I'm talking about leasing, it's still not, it's not the same. I mean, they're still connected. I know one of the leases that's set, and it was a beautiful home, and it just sat for 45 days,
Yep.
and it wasn't really moving. So one was in Arlington, one was in Keller, and I know you've got, one in Fort Worth that's just sitting forever, and it's just the area has a lot to do with that, I would say.
The area and the condition, yep, and the pricing.
Yeah, and the pricing. So I mean, and I do agree. I know that we had just, again, when talking with the Slaughters about this, that they had mentioned that, hey, and I agree, it's the bigger cities feel more of an impact versus if you're like, for us, Arlington and, Burleson, Irving, and, Keller, like, all those other cities that are out the outer skirts of that, they don't feel the same. And
Correct.
so it's hard to put that in such in one big,
all inclusive.
Yeah, all inclusive, you know what I mean? And something else they mentioned, I agree as well. And I think that can be, headlines, and they're headlines, right?
Yeah,
That's what's for.
Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, that's a big area to cover.
That's huge.
Yep.
That's a huge area. I mean,
Yeah.
just even MetroTex. And here's the thing, MetroTex covers, and just, anyone listening, I mean, MetroTex is the board of realtors, is one of the board of realtors within, Dallas-Fort Worth, but they cover everything from Abilene to basically Tyler and almost, way up to, close to the border of Texas, Oklahoma, and then, down to Waco. I mean, that's what they consider DFW.
Yeah.
You guys zero in on that and say, hey, this is what it's going to be. So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I think home prices are declining. Would you agree with that? That
Yep.
there are some, but not in total. Everywhere is declining.
Correct.
Yeah. So here's another headline, guys. We got this one is from NARR, the National Association of Realtors. Mortgage rates again near 7%. So nearly 5.5 million households are priced out of housing market today than a year ago. The NARR data shows. Freddie Mac reports the following national averages with mortgage rates of the week ending June 1st. A 30-year fixed rate is averaged at 6.79. It's raising from last week 6.57, and then of course a 15-year mortgage rate is averaged at 6.18, and then of course from last week's 5.79. So, what are your thoughts, Misty? I feel like people always especially in the the rates affect things, but guys,
it affects your buying power.
It does, but you and I aren't actually distance investors and doing things like DSCR loans. Like that really doesn't faze us too much. Would you say?
Yeah. I think everybody just kind of got used to 2%, 3%, 4%, and that's not realistic.
Yeah, It's just, it's a
It
yeah.
was a temporary thing that we probably won't see.
I hope we do.
I hope we
I
do
missed the
too.
boat on that. We missed the boat. We slept through that one, and I really shouldn't. That's probably one of my. I don't have any regrets, but that's something that if I would have done a little more Nostradamus, a little bit, predictions, I probably would have been like, we got to do that now,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's trip.
Made
I mean,
it a priority.
made it a priority. I think so, but a 6.79. Obviously, I think what you and I always talk about is you can change. You can always refinance,
hmm
but you can't change the price in which you purchase.
Correct.
And so, going in,
Yeah, your purchase price is done and completed when you do it.
Yeah.
But you can always refinance or change lenders, and so your rate can decrease over time if you
Mhm.
get a better rate.
And it does help. I mean, obviously, the lower rate helps as far as your payment and your cash flow and stuff. So, but I don't think it should stop anybody, when they hear things like, oh, mortgage rates are going up. When we talk about mortgage rates, it's always a hot topic. When we hear about it, there was a time in the 80s where it was 14, 15, 16,
18.
18%. It was way up there.
Yep.
So I think I try to put that in perspective. I think if you buy it right, I personally think if you buy it right, the rate isn't really as big of a deal if you buy it at the right price. If you're buying things off market or however you're buying it, or if you're getting the right deal, or, it just depends on how you're running the deal. I don't think it's big of a deal.
And that
As
could
big
tie
of
into why home prices are supposedly falling, because they're trying to find that middle ground to where people can still purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's another headline that comes out. It says Google puts major swath on Silicon Valley offices up for sublease. So I'm going to just kind of paraphrase this. It says they are offloading nearly 1.5 million square feet of space that Alphabet Inc., which is, if you don't know, that's Google, is going to sublease at least 7 office buildings near its headquarters. A lot of damn office space.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just kind of hearing that, there's actually, it says all told the listing amount is about 1.4 million square feet, and the land at that point. Yeah. So 1.5 million, 1.4 million. It's still a lot of office space. I think that
cut their expenses.
they cut their expenses. I think that shows a lot of things. Like, I know for us, we run a brokerage. It's virtual. We don't have an office. I mean, you're really not necessarily needing all that stuff all the time. And I think that's being, shown. Don't get me wrong. One day I love having the idea of the office, but, for the most part, you really don't have to have it to make things happen. I think
Doesn't necessarily make you more efficient
it doesn't.
or make you more funds, more money.
It doesn't. If Google's getting rid of it,
Yeah.
for those of you guys out there, if you're listening to this and you're like, I got an office, no, if Google's getting rid of it and they're doing, I think, because after 2020 did what? It sped all that stuff up, right? It was
Yep.
just like, oh, hey, we don't need this. We don't need that. A lot of us you and I already worked like that. We didn't
Mhm.
really have an office. I mean, it's just, our office was our computer, so I think that kind of got sped up a little bit that from COVID, and I think it's showing for sure. So that's a lot to offload. I know it's not for them, it's not, but that is a bunch to offload. So
Hey, and Starbucks got rid of their office space too
They did.
for their customers.
they did. I've noticed that a lot more. You see it a lot more and more that their buildings. I've seen some that are more dry. They're all just turning into drive-throughs. Some of them are getting smaller as well. I saw
less of a footprint as far as space wise.
I saw a headline, and I think it's here locally, that McDonald's is, and this is all real estate, right? Related as well. But McDonald's is working on a automated McDonald's. Like, it's like there's no, you don't go in and sit, you don't go in, and I think, and you actually, it's all automated to everything from your order to all the way through, and so there's no cashier or anything like that. And so they and if I'm right, I believe you and I actually, by the way, guys, we don't eat McDonald's, but we stopped in that one that they're turning into it in a restaurant, to use the restroom one day, and it's, I think, Haltom City, I believe. I could be wrong. I have to look it back up, but I think but that's something else. So it's just another, things are getting sped up. They're like, hey, we're getting rid of this and we're gonna do that.
Yeah,
Did I tell you that about that one?
you did.
I did. Okay, I don't know if I told you about that one. So here's one I pulled up today. I thought I wanted to put this in. I think Misty had this conversation, so I'm curious to hear her input. So it says, here's one way Simon plans to redevelop malls across the country. So if you guys don't know, Simon is actually I know they're across the country, but in DFW they're a big deal. They hold all the malls.
Largest mall landlord.
They're the largest mall landlord. So so they hold a lot of the malls, and they're making some changes. So one of the changes they're going to make is incorporating hospitality properties. So as part of their strategy, they're going to incorporate hospitality properties into their retail centers. So they're going to take things like a Residence Inn, and they're going to, basically plan to plug them in their centers, so that way it's more of a shop, shop and stay. And I know that when I travel, I love to find places like I use Marriott. I like finding a place that's easy to walk.
Yep.
Easy to walk. I can't walkable. I love to be able to. Ideally, I like to have an Uber to be able to just walk, eat breakfast, run around, and go.
Not have to worry about parking.
Yeah.
Filling up your tank before you leave.
Yeah. You hate me because this last trip I had to actually pay for parking, and it's yeah. Believe me, I know why, right? But it says they're incorporating hospitality properties. It says they are diversifying tenant mix. So they're going to incorporate everything from restaurants, entertainment venues, hotels, fitness centers, healthcare facilities, personal services, and housing in their malls. So
I like that idea.
you do, yeah. I remember, when I think of mall, I just remember growing up in the Irving Mall. That's what I saw, right? It's the Irving Mall. I grew up in the Irving Mall. You walk around from one side to the other, and it's not a circle. So you turn back around, you walk back down the other side.
Stop at the food court.
Stop at the food court. You make like 5 passes around the same thing, right? It's a mall. It's indoors. You had to go park and walk in. Where the hell did I park?
Yeah. Where's my car?
Where's my car? Man, anyone that smoked pot, they probably had a hard time finding their car. Dude, they probably literally were like, dude, where's my car? But yeah, that's what I think of. But I know it's changed a lot. Clear Fork is like that. Clear Fork is not. Clear Fork is now, if you guys don't know, Clear Fork's in Fort Worth. It's a place that we spend a lot of time at. But it's by Simon, and it's an outdoor mall. What they did with that is they didn't have there's no hotel, which I wonder if they're going to put up. There's a space that's still empty. There's a place called the George that they have. They have living there. They have living apartments and on top of all of their retail. And of course, they have Neiman Marcus and all that there. So it's like outdoor shopping. They've kind of changed it. So hearing that they're going to incorporate hotels is interesting because I know for me, I would like to stay at a place like that as I travel.
Yeah, because to not have to take an Uber or get a rental car and stuff like that, and you have different restaurants to choose from, or I forgot to pack this, I need to run and buy a car or a phone charger or whatever.
Yep.
Forgot my deodorant or razor or something. Just go to a little store.
It's nuts how that's changed though, because that was not. I could never envision a Marriott attached to the Irving Mall.
Yeah.
Or the Parks Mall.
As long as it's a nice hotel.
I can never imagine that. But it says that Simon Property Group is investing $1.5 billion in adding 2,000 hotel rooms and apartments to their malls. So they're focusing on creating vibrant mixed-use centers that offers diverse experiences. So I like the idea. I mean, to me, that makes sense if you're gonna do that. I mean, that's the reason we different headlines like this is just stuff to pay attention to, right? You see that and you're like, okay, so things are changing. Obviously, if Simon comes in and they start redeveloping a few things, maybe there's some property around there that's probably going to adjust as well.
Yeah.
We've watched Clear Fork change. Clear Fork is what once was obviously a ranch, and they still have cattle on some of it. You can slowly see it has healthcare, it has living, it doesn't have a hotel, not yet,
or a grocery store.
That's the last item they need. Dude, Simon, if you're listening to this, probably not, but if you are, get a grocery store at Clear Fork, and I'm moving in. That's it. I want to move to where I just walk to a grocery store and everything. But I mean, that's really the simplicity of that. So because
it has nice outdoor space and stuff, so it helps all the people that either live in a smaller apartment or something. They can go out and exercise and get some sunlight and stuff to help with that depression and things like that, keep those at bay.
That might be one of the things too, because if you're doing that, you're having what
You're having to get out and
you're
see people.
yeah. Because right now,
And
if you don't have to go to the
hmm
office, then
yep.
why you need what's the point? So that could be another reason. Um, in the article it says it aims to create constant flow of foot traffic. And that's which I mean, like I said, I would live in something like
If
that.
there's restaurants and stuff in there, I mean, that's great for traveling too, because that's one of the things, if you have a late flight or something, and you get in, usually the hotel has, cut off for their kitchen and dining and stuff. And so you might go to bed hungry.
I'm gonna give you the reality. Ain't no damn restaurant you can go to after a late flight. It's just what it is. You're stuck with Denny's, Waffle House, IHOP. I don't care how many
Yeah.
times you look up 24-hour breakfast. That's about all you get. And then you get a couple of bars, and yeah, I don't eat those. So sorry. Yeah. I've experienced that way too many times. But no, it does help. I know I plan for that when I travel. So but yeah, it's good to pay attention to stuff like that, different headlines, because otherwise, you kind of get an idea what's going on. There's, things are always changing. So, nothing too crazy out there right now as far as headlines are going. But, obviously you see some adjustments between the malls and, interest rates and stuff. I know they're supposed to go and we're coming up on an election year. So we should have some interesting headlines coming up there as well. So, but other than that, guys, man, pay attention to the news, know what's going on. You don't have to pay attention to the tabloids, but check the real estate news, see what's happening, and we'll catch you guys next time.